Just take a second and picture this. Imagine a time when the Earth had clouds drifting through the sky, massive mountains, and wild, rushing rivers, but absolutely no humans to walk its surface. Long before our names were ever written into history, this planet witnessed a dark, deeply mysterious chapter. Today, we're diving straight into that untold prequel to humanity.
We naturally assume the story of Earth starts with Adam, right? That he was the very first resident of an empty planet. But the truth is actually a lot more intense. Thousands of years before his arrival, a completely different, incredibly powerful civilization already ruled this world.
So, let's explore this dark era. Let's talk about the reign before humans.
This was the era of the Jinn. Created from smokeless fire, these beings were given intellect, conscience, and entirely free will by God. And they didn't just exist, they built epic societies. They settled in mountain caves, created empires deep within the oceans, and had communities much like ours today. But power is a dangerous thing. Over time, greed and arrogance spread like a deadly virus. They completely lost their way, and this once peaceful planet was literally turned into a devastating battlefield. The strong crushed the weak, and chaos completely took over.
It got so incredibly bad that even the angels were looking down in deep concern. But right in the middle of all this darkness, one figure stood out. This brings us to the rise and the tragic fall of Azazil.
Azazil was originally just an ordinary jinn, but through sheer intense devotion, he rose all the way to the seventh heaven. It said there wasn't a single spot on earth or in heaven where he hadn't bowed in worship. God even elevated him to the incredible rank of teaching the angels. So when the jinn on earth became completely corrupted, God sent Azazil at the head of a massive angelic army to stop them. He won. He cleared the rebels from every corner of the globe, bringing peace back to earth. But right there, at the absolute peak of his success, a tiny toxic seed was planted in his heart: arrogance. He had no idea his centuries of worship were actually leading up to the ultimate test.
With the planet finally quiet again, we arrive at the profound mystery of the first human.
While Earth was waiting for its next chapter, God announced a massive secret to the angels. He told them he was going to place a Khalifa, a steward or representative, on Earth. Instantly, the angels had flashbacks to the bloody history of the jinn. They respectfully asked, "Are you going to create someone who will just cause more bloodshed and chaos?" And God simply replied with an absolute truth: "Indeed, I know what you do not know." This exact moment locked in the biggest turning point in the history of the universe.
This brand new creation was to be made from the earth itself. God sent the greatest angels down to collect the soil, but the earth actually begged them not to take it, and angels like Jibrail and Mikael returned empty-handed. Finally, the angel Azrael went down and firmly gathered soil from every single corner of the globe. He brought back red, white, black, soft, and hard earth. And this beautiful blend is exactly why, today, humanity is so wonderfully diverse. Why we have different skin tones, and why some of us are calm, some are easily angered, and everything in between.
Then began an incredibly slow 40-year process. Rain poured down on this gathered soil, 29 years of sadness, and just 1 year of joy. It went from dust to mud to sticky clay, and finally into a massive 70-cubit-tall hollow body, shaped and waiting in paradise.
But here is where the suspense really builds. Before the soul was ever breathed into it, that massive, majestic form just stood there in paradise, completely lifeless, like a statue, for another 40 years.
The angels would circle this awe-inspiring new creation, filled with pure curiosity and reverence, wondering what its purpose could possibly be.
Azazil, however, wasn't looking at it with reverence. He was looking at it like a predator. He actually went inside the lifeless hollow body, meticulously exploring every corner to find its fatal flaws. He quickly figured out that this new being had built-in vulnerabilities, like greed and impatience. And right then and there, long before the human even took a breath, Azazil finalized his dark blueprint for deception.
And then came the monumental moment, the command to bow, and history's first act of arrogance.
God finally breathed the soul into Adam. As the soul reached his head, Adam opened his eyes, taking in the absolute breathtaking beauty of paradise for the very first time. He sneezed, and his very first word was Alhamdulillah, praise be to God. So humanity quite literally started with gratitude. But, beautifully, our classic human impatience also showed up immediately. Before the soul even reached his feet, Adam saw the fruits of paradise and actually tried to stand up.
God then endowed Adam with knowledge, teaching him the names and realities of all things, knowledge that even the angels didn't have. After Adam proved this knowledge, God gave a direct command to all the angels, bow down to Adam. Instantly, billions of angels bowed, but one figure remained standing, Azazil, who we now know as Iblis. His logic? He argued that since he was made of fire and Adam was just made of clay, he was inherently superior. This was literally history's first act of racism. Thousands of years of his own intense worship couldn't give him the basic humility to obey God's command.
So God cursed him and expelled him from paradise, which leads us to the forbidden tree and the ultimate deception. Iblis asked for time until the day of judgment, swearing he would flow through human veins to mislead them. The eternal war between humanity and the devil had officially begun.
To cure Adam's deep loneliness, Hawa, or Eve, was created from his rib, symbolizing protection and companionship. They lived in total peace, but they were given one single test: do not eat from that one forbidden tree. Iblis, desperate for his first act of revenge, manipulated their pure innocence. He actually swore a false oath in God's name, tricking them into eating the fruit. Instantly, they experienced their very first feelings of shame and regret.
So what happens after this incredible fall? Let's look at their descent to earth and a brand new beginning. Now, unlike some traditions that call this original sin, Islamic tradition makes it very clear. Adam and Hawa instantly and directly repented, and God, being incredibly merciful, completely forgave them.
Their slip-up was forgiven, but it was now time to fulfill the exact mission they were created for in the first place, becoming the Khilafah, the stewards of the earth. They were sent down, but they were separated by thousands of miles. Adam landed in what is modern-day Sri Lanka, and Hawa in Jeddah, Arabia, traded the endless comforts of paradise for the harsh winds, hunger, and cold of earth. They spent years crossing brutal mountains and terrains searching for each other, until finally, on a Friday, they had a tearful, deeply emotional reunion at Mount Arafat.
As they started over in this completely raw, unforgiving environment, it really leaves us with a profound question to think about. Was it actually here, amidst the harsh struggles, the pain, and the dirt of earth, rather than the effortless ease of paradise, that humanity's true resilience and greatness were always meant to be forged? Let that sink in. Thanks so much for joining us on this incredible journey.